Today I'm going to be tying up an Irish shrimp fly with strong origins from the River Moy. I'm just adding on my thread as always, and I'm going to tie on some silver oval for the tag. Okay, so I'm going to slip that in underneath. Okay, and a few turns down to just above the hook points, and then we'll get our oval and we'll do 3 or 4 turns. Okay, and then on the last one, just tuck that in between the hooks and underneath. Okay, a few turns to secure it in as we work our way back up the body. Okay, so this fly is called the Ronnie Rodgers, and it's also a fly sometimes known as the Roy Wilson, but more so the Roy Wilson in recent years, but I always knew it as the Ronnie Rodgers. Okay, so I'm going to add on some wax. And for the tail of the fly, it's going to be a large red cock hackle, or you could use dyed red golden pheasant. Okay, if you can get a bright enough red. I'm going to just tie in at the tip there, but I'm going to draw back the tip as well, or the break, sorry, right up to that tag. Okay, then I'm going to get my scissors and just start to train those fibres. They point inwards. Not all of them will, but most of them will. Okay. And then I'm going to do a few wraps, similar to the way I would for golden pheasants. Okay, I'll do one more wrap before I neaten things up. Okay, and then I'm going to just secure that with the thread coming back on. A few turns just to secure it in and try and keep things neat because it's a flat body. I'm going to trim off my excess. If you wanted, you could add a bit of flesh in, but I think this is a bright enough fly anyway. Okay, so now I'm close to halfway up the shank. I'm going to start adding in what will be my rib, which is silver wire. Okay, and that's going on below. And then I'm going to use it's actually using holographic. The original is just used plain silver. Okay, as I'm doing that, just before I get to the tail, I'm going to use my scissors or a pin, whatever I can, and just make sure those fibres are well spread out. Okay. And then just wrap up right up to that tag. So I actually go a little bit over the fibres, so it'll give me a more secure hold. And also it pulses better against the tag. I'm going to trim off. So this fly is a very popular fly in East Mayo on the River Moy, and Ronnie was actually one of the guys why I think our family fished East Mayo, because he showed my father it several years ago, and he actually once got a fly box. My dad once got a fly box from Ronnie, and it contained nothing but this fly. There was about 50 of them, so he obviously had a lot of belief in the fly. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on a bit of super glue, and I'm going to run that on the thread, so that'll help hold that tinsel. Bring my thread up to about halfway up. Okay, then we're just going to do one good wrap at the tail, and then continue in touch and turns the whole way up that middle section. Okay, then we're going to just secure that in with our thread. A couple of turns, probably 2 will be enough for now, as you have the super glue as well. And then trim off your excess. Then we get our wire. Make sure you don't catch any of those tail fibres. And you're wanting probably 3 turns. 3 turns of this up to that section. And again, just continue to neaten things up. So what I do, instead of cutting the wire, I just swivel it off saves the scissors. Okay, so we've got a mid hackle for this fly, so the mid hackle is going to be yellow. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to, as always, just break off the tip and expose a few fibres. And then I tie in that hackle with well waxed thread at that break. A few turns forward, then drag the hackle back, and a few turns backwards again. So that stalk is doubled in. Then we just train those fibres, they point inwards. It's a very popular fly for the dropper as well, for fresh fish, for grilse really. Okay, so just in sweeping motions, just continue to sweep as you go around the hackle. I'm probably going to leave it at that, 2 turns. No, you know what? I think 3 turns will be too much, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip off the fibres from one side. So it's really 2.5 turns of the hackle. Don't want to overdo it, especially for a bright fly. You're putting in all that work for a nice bright body, and you don't want to be covering it with the feathers, with the hackles. And it's also a small fly, so don't want to restrict movement too much. Okay, a few turns to screw that in. I'm going to trim off my excess here. Okay, and then I'm going to continue to neaten things up, run that up the body. If there's any fibres, don't worry, they can get put it away. Okay. Now then, same again. So we want to take our wire, and I secure that in underneath. A few turns, and then we get our flat tinsel. And I screw that in above, right up to that hackle, and then again a little bit of super glue, which will add durability and save a lot of time if there's any unwrapping. Okay, and we just bring that up to our head. Okay, and then it's going to be slightly smaller section this time. So in an Irish shrimp it's typically 3/5 and then 2/5, but if it's 50/50 I wouldn't worry either. Like, okay, secure that in a few wraps. And there's no jungle cock or anything in this fly, there's no wing, so you have plenty of space at the head if you want to do additional wraps. Okay, and probably just 2 wraps will be enough for this one. Okay, 2 wraps of the rib. And then again, just to save your wire, or to save your scissors, just twist that wire. Okay, so the front hackle is yellow, or sorry, blue. And I always like to do the mid hackle a little bit longer than the front hackle. It's just personal preference. Okay, so a few wraps of waxed thread. Tie in at that break and then draw it back again as before. And then a few turns. A bit of very secure hackle. Double the hackle as always just by drawing the back of the scissors onto those fibres. Okay. And then just tie in our hackle here now. Every cape's different, so the last one I done 2.5. This one I'll just have a look after 2. And I will probably do 2.5. Sometimes you get more barbs, you could end up doing 3, you could end up doing 4. Each feather's different. Okay, I'm gonna then bring my thread in and secure it. A few turns, and then because I have a bit of space, I'm gonna bring it up and tie it in again. And instead of cutting it, I should be able to just pluck it off. Now, what I'm going to do is, I don't really like the white thread as a head. I use it as a body for the tinsel. I'm going to just change. Okay, so just add on our black thread. As always, just a few turns over the tag. And then now we can just continue those turns to create a secure head. Build it up a little bit. Okay, and then we'll get our whip finish. We'll do a few turns to finish it off. And that is your Ronnie Rodgers shrimp fly, folks. A very effective grilse fly, and a very popular one on the River Moy, but I could see it doing well elsewhere. As always, if you enjoyed the videos, do check them up on screen now. Until next time, thanks very much. All the best.